Hey there, my name is Nico Nang, and today I'll show you how to create a beautiful botanical garden design for your lettering. But of course, this isn't just for lettering. You could also design amazing book covers, leafy illustrations, and so much more. We'll be using the Botanical Composition Kit from the Mega Floral Decorations Kit to easily create this beautifully detailed design. I'm creating on Procreate, but the brushes are also available for Photoshop and Affinity. First, I'll walk you through the brush categories in this pack to familiarize you with the design options and the steps to create not just an ordinary design, but an impressive one. I'll place the links for the worksheet and where to get the brushes in the description below. Let's get started. First brush category of this pack is the leaf structures. The key feature of this botanical design is the structured arrangement and swirly flow of the leaves. With this pack, you don't need to manually draw the path. Simply stamp a pre-designed structure onto your canvas to get started. Like this. Next category, we have the vine liners. If you want to style your leaf stems, just trace over your leaf structure with any of these vine liners to easily give your design some character. For example, this rocky vine, to give your vine that rough character or personality. Next brush category, we have the berry stamps. Instead of a very floral design, you can choose to add berries to your botanical garden design. Most of these stamps follow the direction of your Apple Pencil when you stamp on Procreate, making it easier to arrange the elements in your composition. For example, the gooseberries, we wanted to point this way, so we're going to position our Apple Pencil pointing that way and stamp. Next, we have the leaf stamps. The abundance of leaves is what makes this style unique. Here you have a lot of options to choose from. These stamps also follow the direction of your Apple Pencil, so just stamp on the vines in the direction where you want your leaves to point to. For example, this magnolia, just stamp it like this. For example, this side, you want to fill it in that side facing that direction. So make sure you point your Apple Pencil to that direction when filling in the leaves. Like that. Next, we have the background stamps and background fillers. What makes this style visually appealing is filling every empty space with little details. These background stamps are the best way to further decorate the empty spaces of your design and enhance it further. Filling in the empty spaces with some firefly and maybe some dots. That. Lastly, we have some texture brushes. You have a selection of interesting textures to finish and elevate your overall artwork. Now that you're familiar with the contents of this brush pack, let's start creating this beautiful project. Step number 1, add your lettering design. You can download this lettering, link is in the description. Otherwise, feel free to create a new lettering or use any previous artwork to decorate. Step number 2, stamp in your leaf structure. Pick a template from the brush pack, stamp it on a new layer, then resize it to fit your lettering and canvas size. Before that, let's add a nice background color to this, maybe dark blue. And let's bring the opacity of our lettering down a bit so that when we stamp in our leaf structure in white, we can clearly see the structure that we're going to be working with. Let's move back up and choose a leaf structure, maybe leaf structure number 4. Just tap, and then let's crop off the bottom half right here. For this one, use Freedom Transform so that you can easily fill your canvas like this. For this style, it's better to leave some space on the edge like a border, so we're going to create a border guide, as well as, if you notice, for this leaf structure, it is mirrored. It looks like a mirrored design. So what we're going to do is we can add a guide that's hiding half of the leaf structure so that it's going to be easier, so by just filling in one side and then duplicating everything and mirroring it. Let's add our guides on a new layer using the rectangular selection tool. Let's just select a small area on the border and fill it with white like that. Let's duplicate this and bring it down like that. Merge it, duplicate this, rotate this 90 degrees and bring it to the side. Using selection tool, let's select this piece right here and then move it to the other side. There. Merge. We now have our border guide. Let's create another guide for the half of the canvas. So on a new layer, let's color drop to fill the entire canvas. Using selection, let's move this to half like this. If you have magnetics and snapping turned on, it's going to easily snap to the right position. Then let's merge everything and reduce the opacity like this. Now we have this shape right here, this rectangular shape. This is the area that we are going to work with. So we now have our leaf structure as well as the guides to help us with positioning the different elements of our botanical design. Step number 3, stamp in your berries. So let's start by adding a new layer and selecting the barberry, and then make sure you select the color red and let's start stamping. Okay. The size feels a bit smaller, so let me just create a bigger berry. Yeah, I think this looks nice. So we're going to add the berries. Make sure we align or point our Apple Pencil towards the direction, the correct direction, like this. Like this, like this. Okay. So we can select and move it to position it correctly. Or another option is just to tap undo until you get the right position, whichever is easier for you. Like that. If it touches a bit, it's okay, but if you could easily adjust it, it's better to just adjust it. Like that, okay? I think that looks good. There, for this one, like that. This one like this, okay. We've already added to the ends of the leaf structure, but you could also add it around the area where it feels a bit empty. But before that, let me just hide my lettering first so that it's not too distracting. So it feels like there's so many on the edges, but there are not a lot in the middle. So I'm just gonna tap maybe here, maybe here, maybe here as well. And maybe here. Oh, I feel like there's not much here. Okay. Yeah, I think that's more evenly distributed now. So for these berries, you can also add some details to it if you want to. For example, I want to add like a darker dot right there. So I just select a darker color, and there's a circle stamp here. It's for background, but you can also use it to add details. So like this, this. Just adding a simple dot so that it's not too plain. Make sure you get every one. Okay, step number 4, design your vines. So we're going to design the vines using vine liner. Let me bring the opacity down a little bit so that it's not too distracting, just light enough for us to still see it. Then let's create a new layer above the leaf structure. For the leaf structure, let's select a blue color. Okay, let's find some vine liner right here. So it's up to you which one you want to use. I want to use the round vine, so yeah. Make sure you're on a new layer, and then just trace over these. You'd also hold this until Procreate makes it into a smart shape, or freehand the vines. When you're done, you can hide the leaf structure. There you go. Step number 5, stamp in your large leaves. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to select a leaf stamp. Eucalyptus 2 leaves. Okay. So you have here single leaf and double leaf. So always start stamping the dual leaf because it's going to be faster for me to fill in the entire space. And it's easier to add in bigger elements before adding smaller elements. So we just do that. Okay. I think I want to make the size a little bit bigger. There, perfect. So just tap on the vine. Make sure you point your Apple Pencil to the direction you want. And then just try to fill in as much of the space as possible. If you want to try to move certain things around like this, feel free to use the transform tool. Okay, like that. That looks nice. Let's add one here as well. here. Okay, that looks nice. Perfect. So you don't have to stamp these leaves exactly where I'm stamping them. You can feel free to create your own arrangement. And also, it's not going to be possible for you to do exactly what I'm doing because these stamps, they stamp them at random. So you won't be able to get the exact same outcome. Okay. So if it doesn't fit, feel free to leave that area because you can use the other stamps or like the single leaf stamps to fill those later on. So it went over a little, so I'm just trying to adjust this a bit, or maybe I'll just rotate this. Nah, I think I'll just move it like that. So what you want to do is, as much as possible, you're going to touch the edges so that the shape is going to be clearly visible when you remove all of the guides later on. Okay, having a hard time with this one, so yeah. Sometimes you just need a little bit of patience. You need to tap it several times before you get the nice position or placement of leaf. There. I think there's space here. Perfect. I think this is too tight already. Yeah, it is. With this brush as well, if you exert more pressure, you're gonna get bigger leaves. But just a little, not too much. Like that, touching the edge. That's what we want. Perfect. I love it when you just tap it once and it's at the perfect position already. I think that looks nice. Yeah, I think this space is a bit too small. After this, you could just switch on to the single leaf and continue to fill in the area with the empty spaces with leaves. Okay. Just stamping and stamping. This area feels like it needs some leaf. So let me just go ahead and stamp some here, like that. This side as well. I think this is perfect. This area, I think I could sneak or add some leaf here as well. There. Let's try this area. Ooh, okay. But let's move it a little bit, like this. Okay, this area. Okay, this looks nice. Yeah, like that. Ooh, perfect. I think this area, yeah, we could sneak some of them there. For this one, okay. For this one, you don't want to touch this or come really close to that area because when we're going to mirror it later, they're gonna touch, right? So you have to avoid that on the middle section. So you can just easily undo and then just stamp in more. Another option. Like that, okay. Like this, I'll just select and just move it a bit while rotating it. It's easier than going crazy by just stamping and stamping and stamping. Like this. Let me just select this, rotate it a little bit. Like that. Perfect. Yeah, I think that looks nice. Sometimes it takes a little bit more trials or tries to get what you want, but it's fine. I find this process very relaxing. So just stamp, undo, stamp, undo with little adjustments in between. At this stage, don't worry if you can't fill the entire area, because we're still gonna fill this with smaller leaves and some fillers later on. Okay, working with the edges can be a little bit more delicate because you want to come as close as you can to the edge. This one, it went over a little bit, so we'll just adjust it like this. Perfect. I think there's space here still. Okay. Once you feel like there's no more space to fill using the large leaves, we can now move on to the next step, which is step number 6, stamp in your smaller leaves. So on a new layer, select a different color. I'm selecting a lighter blue, and I'm choosing a smaller leaf. Maybe this eucalyptus leaves. It looks too big, so let me just reduce the size of it. Perfect. So you can use this to stamp. Okay. Yeah, I feel like this dual leaf stamp is a bit more challenging to fit in my composition because there are 2 leaves. Obviously, it's harder to fit in. So I'll just use the single leaf and then just tap, tap, tap this on the areas that feels empty, like that. Here as well. Okay. Like that. I think that looks nice. There, that's perfect. So as you can see, I'm jumping in and out of different sections because, yeah, I mean, I just zoom out and wherever my eye sees an empty space, I'll just zoom right in onto that area to stamp more leaves like that. So if you overlap like this, it's totally fine. I personally prefer to avoid overlapping, but it still works if you overlap some of the leaves. Yeah, just take your time, enjoy this process of slowly adding in smaller leaves onto your botanical design. Here, some here. Yeah, I think the space is too small, but let's try to, yeah, there, perfect. Okay. Let's try to add one here that touches the edge nicely. There, I think that's good. Maybe tap a big one. Yeah, there. So again, take your time, don't pressure yourself to fill every single gap because there's still some more steps wherein we can fill those empty spaces up. Like this one, there's so much empty space here. It's totally fine here as well, and here. So yeah, just try to attach your smaller leaf along the leaf structure, and make sure you point your Apple Pencil towards the direction where you want your leaf to face. And then once you get used to that process, it's going to be super, super easy. When you have filled in every single space for the smaller leaf, you can now go to step 7. Fill in the empty spaces with fillers. Stamp in background fillers, more berries, or more loose leaves to the empty spaces of your design. So, first option is to stamp in more berries. Let's do that. So I'm gonna open up a new layer, maybe choose a different color, like a beige color, and choose another berry stamp, maybe blueberries. Okay, then adjust the size. I think the earlier size is okay. It is too big, so somewhere in the middle. Yeah, perfect. Then just stamp some blueberries that are in a different color, blueberries that are not blue, into some of the area. Okay, like this. It's too tight, so I won't add that there. Yeah. Here. As you can see, I'm trying to get the edges because you want that edges to be nice and defined. Like that. Okay, I don't think there's space. Okay, I want to add one here, so I'll just go to my leaf layer and use my eraser to erase that leaf. Okay, oh, here it is. I forgot which pack which pack is my eraser in. Okay, so I think there's not much berries, or there's not a lot of blueberries here, so let me just erase maybe this one and maybe this one. Oops, no. Let me just erase maybe these two and replace them with blueberries. So going back to the blueberry layer, add some blueberries here and here so that it's more evenly distributed. That's how you want. Okay, I think blueberries is enough. We could also add some leaves. Okay, so let's add some big leaves as fillers. So make sure you select the right layer, the layer with the first leaf right here, and then let's select that brush, and we're gonna add loose leaves of that particular leaf around the area. Okay, like this, but it touches the berries, so I'm just gonna use selection to adjust this a little bit. Perfect. I think that looks really nice. For here, I think I want to add one here. Yeah, that looks good. Here as well, perfect. I think this one looks nice. Let's keep this, but move it a little bit in. Yeah. And then after that, you can add loose leaves as well, the little ones. So make sure you choose the correct color and the right brush. And let's add some here. There, that looks nice. Let's move this towards the edge, closer to the edge, to define the shape more. Okay, I think here we can add some here. Here as well. So at this stage, we're just slowly adding in some more details to fill the empty spaces. You'd always zoom out, and then it's going to be easier for you to look for areas that needs more decorations. There. Again, we don't want to go too close to the edge because they're going to touch later. So I'll just move this slightly a bit in. Okay, I think I'm okay with that side. For this one, let's add some here. Here as well. Maybe here and here. Where else? Where else? Where else? Yeah, I think these. Let's add somewhere here. But you don't have to fill everything at this stage because we still have other filler brushes or stamps we can use. Okay, I think that's enough. We can now add more fillers using our background stamps and background fillers. Let's add some fireflies because I love to add that little detail. So I'm going to add in a new layer, change to white, and just stamp in some, oops, let's make it smaller. Stamp in some fireflies across our canvas while making sure that we evenly distribute this, because we don't want to concentrate all of our fireflies to just one specific area of our canvas. So make sure you just add in to like the empty spaces all around your canvas. This lower left doesn't have a lot of fireflies yet, so let me just add some here. Perfect. You always zoom out and you'll see which area needs more firefly. So yeah, I think this is enough, and we still have more background fillers to add. Let's add it in red. We have 3 dots right here. Oops, that's too big. Okay, still too big. Perfect size. So yeah, but make sure you're on a new layer, okay? Just stamp in the 3 dots. As always, make sure you evenly distribute this across your canvas. Don't only add it to like the top area and not add any of these at the bottom area. Okay. At this stage, there's now less area to fill with these 3 dots. When you can't find any more space for this, yeah, here. Let's move this firefly down a bit. Okay, back to the 3 dots. Layer here, maybe here. Anyway, when you can't find any more empty spaces, you can just switch to the dot one. Select a smaller size, and yeah, fill in 1, 2 dots, 1, 1, 2 dots, 1, 1. Yeah, just try to use dots to fill in the empty spaces. Again, make sure it's evenly distributed. Here it feels a bit empty, so I'm going to add here as well. Oops. This area is lacking some dots. Oh, this area doesn't have like a lot of dots. Okay, I think this is much better now. As you can see, almost all of the area is filled. This is what we want for this design, like that. I think this looks nice already. What you can do is you could hide the background and you should be able to see like a clean rectangle. Okay, you can only achieve this if you touch, make sure that your elements touch the edges there. Okay, so let's select everything and then group them so that we know that this is our decorations group. What we want to do is we want to duplicate everything to the other side, right? Duplicate and flip it to the other side. So we're going to duplicate all of the layers, well, just the decoration elements, including the stem, okay, the vines. Make sure you get everything, then you select the duplicate, hit transform, flip horizontal, make sure magnetics is turned on, and then move it to the side like this. Then select the group, bring it to the center, make sure snapping is turned on so that you can perfectly center this. Make sure the two orange lines are present. There, it's now perfectly centered. But when you center this, you'll notice that there are some empty spaces there, right? So what you can do is fill it in with more decorations. So, but before that, you want to merge the layers together. Like this is the red dots on the left and right, both layer 10s, merge them, both layer 9, 4, 8, 7, 6, 5, there. And after that, what you can do is you can select what the item or the object you want to duplicate. So for example, this one, I think I want to put some red berries there, so I'll select this, duplicate, move it down, and then just try to fit it in by resizing it. There. Perfect. I think we could add one more there. So let me duplicate this. Oh, make sure you are selecting the right layer. Select, duplicate. Let's put it here. Center this. Scale it down. Perfect. And then merge like that. For some of the spaces, for this one, I kind of want to add some blueberries. So this is the blueberry layer. Select that and then use the selection tool to select and duplicate a blueberry. Center it and then move it. Let me just rotate this and then reduce the size a bit to fit it perfectly there. And then I think I can still add one more here. Merge the layers, select one, duplicate. Yeah, I think this orientation is good. Just scale it down a bit. There, perfect. Merge them. Okay, and then you can also fill that space maybe with leaf. So I am going to add some small light blue leaves there. So make sure that the layer is selected, and you could just use the same brush to stamp it in. Make sure you select the right color, of course. Then this, maybe add one here, and no, just there. Maybe add one here, and maybe one add, but facing this direction. Here, okay. Then choose a different element. Okay, fireflies. Let's add some fireflies to the center. Make sure you select the right layer and select firefly. Just add them to wherever you want to fill the space with some firefly. Yeah, I think that looks nice. I'll just add some red dots. Make sure you select the right layer. Dot brush, red, and then just adding a little bit more dots there. Now I think it's done. So the next step, step number 8, overlap your botanical garden with your lettering. So again, if you forgot, this is just a decoration, so we're gonna bring our lettering back. So we're gonna bring it all the way up right there. Bring the opacity back to 100%. Yes. So what we want is we want some leaves to be overlapping on the lettering. So to do that, we're gonna duplicate our decorations group, flatten that, move it above the lettering layer. And then don't panic if it looks like this, because it's supposed to look like this when you just duplicate it and move the layer. Select the layer, click mask, and then tap on the mask layer, select invert. Now you're back to like a very clean canvas. Next step is bring the opacity down of the lettering just a little bit, so you'll be able to slightly see the background. And then make sure you select the mask layer again. Okay, and then use any brush. So I'm just using any monoliner, an ordinary monoliner brush, and make sure white is selected and you're on the correct layer. And then you're just gonna brush in some of the leaves and elements that you want to overlap. For example, this one. For the letter P, this leaf, you see the leaf right there. If you want to bring it up, just use the brush to brush it in, like this. There. But of course, let's start with the first letter, which is H. So I think this leaf looks nice to overlap, so I'm just brushing in white ink, but it's on mask. That's why it looks like this. And then try to look for others. I think this one looks nice as well. It's not, I mean, it looks nice to overlap. Like that. Perfect. And you can look for others as well. I think this side looks nice. Okay. And then this one, whoops. Okay. So what we're doing is this entire layer, we duplicated a decorations layer on top, right? That entire layer is visible, but we added a mask. So if you can see the mask here, it is black. If it's black, it means it's not going to show any of that layer. But you can see there are some white areas right here. That's what we were brushing in. So if we add white onto the mask layer, it's gonna show those specific areas. So we're not going to show the entire layer. We just want to show parts of it, which are the overlapping leaves. Okay, so make sure you select the right layer. Oops. Okay, make sure I'm selecting the right layer. If something happens that's not supposed to, just hit undo. Don't panic, because I almost panicked right there. Anyway, okay, yeah, just select, I think this one as well. This looks nice. Yeah, this looks nice. If you're not sure, just add it in, and then later just check it. If it makes your word more difficult to read, then you could always easily erase that later on. Okay, I think let's add a berry. Let's overlap a berry as well. Let me make the size bigger, the brush size bigger, so I could fill this faster. Like that. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, for this one, here. For the O, and this one. Okay, and maybe this one as well for the O, and this berry there. Let's overlap something below as well, down here, like that, and maybe this one. think that's enough for the letter O. For the letter P, okay, this leaf looks nice to overlap. If you accidentally added something, you could just erase them. Back in the main brush. Oh, okay, I think this looks nice. Okay, perfect, perfect. And maybe this one. Yeah, I think this is okay. Let's overlap this, just this vine. So you don't just have to overlap leaves. You can overlap berries, vines, and other elements as well. Oh, the berries for this, for the last letter, let me overlap another berry so that it's not only leaves. Okay, let me erase this tiny bit right here. Okay, back to the brush. Okay, here one, just a tiny part right here. And what else? Okay, for this one, yeah, the bottom part is this. And another one right here. Maybe one last. Yeah, maybe another berry. Okay, if you want to check, you can always just bring the opacity back up 100% there. That looks nice. So the problem is these leaves are hollow in the middle, right? So what you do is just add a new layer on top of the layering layer and choose a darker color. Okay, I color pick that color and move the color down a bit. And then I'm just going to use my monoliner to just color the underneath so that it just doesn't look weird. Like that. Let's start with the first letter. Like this. 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 And this. Here, we have another one here. And here, here as well. Here. Make sure you cover everything, okay? Here, there's like a space here. Looking at this, I think I want to change the color to the exact color of the background. So I'll color pick the background, select alpha lock, and then fill layer. Then remove alpha lock again. There, I think that looks better with a darker shade or like the exact color of the background. So yeah, just carefully fill the area with your brush. Okay, we're almost done. Yeah, I think we're done. Oh, we're not yet done. We still have one more step. We're going to add textures. Of course, we want to add some textures. So just go to the topmost layer and choose a layer or a texture. Maybe heavy cardstock texture. But, oh, it's too dark. Let's select something else. Oh, sorry. Let's go back to botanicals because I was at a different brush pack. So here we now have more appropriate textures for this effect. So I like this canvas grain texture, so let's just add it like that. Ooh, that looks nice. Let me add one more. No, just one. One is enough. And let me change the blending mode to soft light. Oh, texture becomes so light, so let me just add a few more. Perfect. So without texture, it's going to look like this. With texture, like that. Looks nice. But with soft light, it doesn't add to the lettering. So let me just create a new layer on top of the lettering. Turn on clipping mask, and maybe choose a different texture for it. Maybe this antique canvas texture. No. Leaf print texture. Oh, this looks nice. So it's just gonna add, let me choose black first. So it's gonna add a really nice texture, but let me just make it lighter. So let me just change it to multiply and bring the opacity down a bit, like this. Perfect. And then we are done. Doesn't it look really great? Imagine how much time it would take to manually draw all of these details. And what? It only took us less than an hour to finish this super detailed and intricate piece. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more lettering tutorials and tips. I'd love to see your beautiful botanical garden creations. So tag me at nicong.co when you share your work. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to get this pack, the links will be in the description. This is the first tutorial video in this series. Let's create another amazing project in the next video. See you there.